It was a crisp autumn afternoon in Chicago, the kind of day when the wind carried both the chill of the season and the faint smell of roasted chestnuts from street vendors. I had just finished teaching my literature class at the community college and decided to stop by a small cafe I rarely visited. The cafe was nearly empty, except for one man sitting by the window, sketching in a worn notebook. He looked up briefly, offering a polite nod. His presence felt familiar, though I couldn't place him. When the barista called my name, I reached for my drink at the same time he stood to grab his. We nearly collided. "Sorry about that," he said, his voice calm but warm. "I wasn't paying attention." "No problem," I replied, smiling. "I think the wind outside has everyone a little distracted." That's how I met Daniel Wright, a 55-year-old artist whose quiet demeanor held an entire lifetime of stories. As we sat across from each other, somehow falling into conversation, I found myself sharing memories I rarely spoke about. He told me about growing up in a small town in Indiana, about painting barns as a teenager just to earn enough to buy his first set of brushes. I, in turn, spoke of my late father, who had once been an art enthusiast. Daniel's descriptions of his work brought those long-forgotten evenings with my dad rushing back, when we'd sit on the floor flipping through dusty art books. For the first time in years, I felt those pieces of my past stitching themselves together again. Over the weeks, Daniel and I began meeting regularly. Sometimes for coffee, sometimes at the park, sometimes at his art studio. There was a gentleness to him, a patience that was rare in the rushed rhythm of city life. He noticed things others overlooked: the way leaves changed color on a single tree, the quiet persistence of an old man feeding pigeons, the light on a rainy sidewalk. One evening, as we walked along the lakefront, I finally asked the question hanging between us. "Daniel, do you ever think about the fact that you're older than me?" He smiled, looking out over the water. "Of course I do. But then I remember that numbers are just a measure of time, not of connection, not of what we feel when we sit together like this." His words sank deep, because I realized I hadn't been thinking of him as an age. I'd been thinking of him as Daniel. Still, the doubts lingered. Friends asked questions. My mother raised her eyebrows when I mentioned his name. "Sweetheart," she said gently one night, "he's older than your uncle. Are you sure you know what you're doing?" I wanted to explain that it wasn't about age. It was about the way Daniel made me feel alive again. About how he reminded me of pieces of myself I'd lost in the noise of routine life. But instead, I just said, "I know it's unconventional, but it feels right." One night, Daniel invited me to his art exhibit. His studio was filled with people admiring his work, landscapes, portraits, and one painting that stopped me cold. It was of a young woman sitting by a window, holding a book in her lap. Her expression was thoughtful, almost wistful. "That's you," Daniel admitted when he saw me staring. "Or at least, how I see you. Someone carrying so many memories inside, but still open to what's next." I was speechless. No one had ever seen me that way before. But the beauty of the night was shaken when a stranger whispered, "Isn't she a little young for him?" The words cut deep, reminding me of all the doubts. Later, Daniel noticed my silence. "You heard them, didn't you?" he asked softly. I nodded. And then he said something that changed everything. "People will always see what they want to see, but only we know the truth of what this is. And I wouldn't trade it for anyone's approval." The next morning, as I walked through the park, I thought of all the memories I'd recalled since meeting Daniel. The art books with my father, the way I once believed in magic, the dreams I thought I'd outgrown. Daniel hadn't just brought love into my life. He had reminded me of myself. And that was when I realized the age difference didn't matter. What mattered was that we had found each other at the exact time we both needed someone most. Months passed, and slowly, those around me began to see what I saw. My mother met Daniel properly and admitted later, "He looks at you like you're the best part of his world." That's rare, honey. Don't let go of that. Ethan, my closest friend, laughed after spending an evening with us. "I don't know why I worried. You two make sense, in the strangest, most beautiful way." It wasn't about convincing the world. It was about living fully in the truth we'd found together. Looking back now, I can see that life has a way of bringing the right people into our story, sometimes disguised in unexpected forms. Daniel wasn't just a man I met at a cafe. He was a bridge to my past, a mirror to my present, and a partner in the future I never thought I'd have. And yes, the numbers on paper said he was older. But when we sat together, laughing about nothing or dreaming about everything, those numbers dissolved into something meaningless. Because love, I realized, is not counted in years. It's measured in moments. And in every moment with Daniel, I felt alive,